Hello, Internet. We must agree on something. Winter is the most exciting period of the year in the music industry. I mean, besides all of the new music that gets released, brands are always releasing new prototypes, new synthesizers. It's all about new technology for us geeks to use to make fresh and new music. And of course, many brands update their existing products with new and fresh updates, to keep them up to date and up to the standards, just like Arturia, who just released Pigments5. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really hyped about this update because they finally added this little new feature that we've been asking for since, I think, Pigments 2. So how about we just jump to the desk, see what this update is all about, and I'll show you my tips and tricks for it and how it helped me sequence my tracks. Alright, so here we are in front of Pigments, and the first thing that pops to the eye is the enhancement of the UI. So we have a new wavetable shape viewer. It resembles the one from Serum, but it's still, keeping it true to the style of Pigments. And we also have a new kind of minimalistic menus. To be honest, I really love them. I just think for the filter, they could have added like little icons because Arturia are really creative with their icons. I mean, check the effects in here. You have an icon for every effect. And, I would have loved to see the same thing for the filters in here. And also when we go to the play window, we will see a really nice enhanced window with a frequency analyzer in here. I mean, check this out. Let's set the wavetable in here to a saw wave. Let's turn down the volume. And here we go. We have a Pigments style frequency analyzer. Now, it's really beautiful. It's really useful, but I would have loved to be able to turn it on and off because, it eats up some CPU cycles. Pigments is a bit heavy on the CPU, so being able to turn on and off these things would help saving some CPU cycles, right? And, get the best out of Pigments. All right, now the UI enhancements out of the way, let's take a look at the real big deal of this update. And, if you take a look at the wavetable engine here at the phase mode, check this out. Yes, there's a phase position selector. Finally, we've been asking Arturia to have a phase position selector since, I think, Pigments 2, and they finally listened to us and they finally added it. And this is really a big deal. I mean, first of all, check this out. Let's change the view of the wavetable in here. We have the sine wave, and now when we move the phase, yes, it changes everything. And what's really amazing about this update is that now we can take all of the amazing features in Pigments and put them into a good use to create a decent modern Psytrance bassline. I mean, for instance, now I can load a saw wave that I've created with my Behringer Model D inside of Pigments engine. Check this out. And now I can set the phase of the saw wave exactly right in here so I can create my bassline. Just like this. And maybe use a Jupyter filter, close it, use the second envelope to open it, just like this. And now we have this. Let's take it an octave lower. We already have something decent going on, and we can go to the FXs in here, and let's say we will add, instead of the delay, of course, we will add a multiband compressor. And what's really amazing about Pigments is that it has literally everything you need to create the phase distortion that we usually create in Psytrance basslines, and it has everything also you need to color that bassline. So you can take the multiband compressor amount all the way down. So basically you just have the phase distortion like so. Check this out on the scope. Let's say something like this. I'm going really quick about it. And then you can add a distortion in here to color it. Let's say distortion. Let's set it to maybe germanium. I really love the germanium algorithm in here. Let's set it to 100% wet. Take down the drive. This is not a how to create a modern Psytrance bassline. If you'd like to see that, I've made already a full tutorial on that. And here I just want to give you some hints on how you can use Pigments and the new update to actually create proper Psytrance basslines. So yeah, now we've colored the sound. We can also add maybe a little EQ in here. If you want to maybe take down the mids a little bit, for example. I'm on my headphones, so this is not the best environment to create a Psytrance bassline, but I guess you get the point. Now we can take really full advantage of what comes with Pigments to create proper Psytrance bassline. And speaking of basslines, I've created 10 basslines with the new update of Pigments to help you kickstart creating your own basslines with it that you can now grab on my Gumroad. Check the link down in the description. Now that said, we all agree that every good bassline needs good sequencing to make it stand out in the track, right? And this is where the new and enhanced sequencer of Pigments5 actually comes into action. So let's check it out. First of all, we have an on-off button for the steps. This is really important because it will take off completely the steps. So all of its parameters like velocity, octave, gate length, and slide will be turned off. So now we can create our bass sequences with ease, and we can actually save them and record them whenever we want. So you can create your bass patch from scratch. Check this out. Here I've created one from scratch. It uses the same saw wave from earlier, the Jupiter filter. We have some EQing, some multiband compression here just for the phase distortion, and we have some tape saturation here for coloring and some EQing to tidy things up. So now with the sequence, all what you need to do is put one long legato note and hit play, and we will get this. See, we have the bass pattern here, we have the processing, we have the groove, and it's all coming from the same synthesizer, and I really think this is game changer. And speaking of the new sequencer of Pigments5, I can't ignore the new randomizers that they've included. So if we click in here, we can find the classic modes that we had in the earlier versions of Pigments, but we also have the new generative modes, and these modes will create specific kind of sequences, like acid sequences, bass sequences, I don't know, groove sequences. And let's take, for example, this acid patch that I've created in here. It's really simple. We have a saw wave that goes into a Minimoog style filter with a lot of resonance, and this filter is being modulated with the second envelope. It's a classic snappy envelope, and what we can do is click generate in here. It'll create a patch for us, and if we play it, instant acid right away, and we can generate a new patch if we don't like this one. Generate another one. And we can go with this till we find a sequence that we like, and we can actually use it to build a whole track, and it makes sequencing really easy and just like generating ideas really easy and efficient. And if we don't like the acid sound that we've just created with Pigments, but we really like the sequence, we can still use Pigments to drive other instruments. So for instance, here I have the acid V from Arturia. It's their 303 emulation, and it's being driven by Pigments sequencer. Check this out. And of course, if you don't like the sequence, we can go back to Pigments. We can change the sequence, generate a new one, go back to our acid V, and now we have this. Now, Arturia didn't stop at the new enhanced sequencer and the phase position of the wavetable engine. They've actually added an audio input in Pigments that uses the sidechaining input that you have in your DAW. All DAWs have sidechaining input for their channels, basically turning Pigments into a multi-effect. And here's a little tip when you're using Pigments inside of Bitwig. Because Bitwig is modular and lets us put one synthesizer after the other, I can use only the VST2 version of Pigments, and I don't know if this is intentional, to be as some sort of an audio effect. So check this out. Here I have it right in front of Serum, right? And you know, the proper way of doing it, as Arturia told us, is to add a new channel, new MIDI channel, put Pigments there, and route audio to that MIDI channel. But here in Bitwig, I can do things differently, and this is awesome. So check this out. Here I have this patch in Serum. Let's turn off Pigments. It sounds like this. It's from my Psyche Volume 2 preset pack. Sounds like this. All right, pretty freaky. Now let's turn on Pigments in here and check what we have. So the audio input is only on the second noise oscillator. Everything, of course, feeds to the filters in here. I've chose a phaser filter, and of course the normal signal chain of Pigments. Everything then will feed into the effects. So I have a multiband compressor in here just for coloration, a pitch shifting delay to add some kind of weird fragments. If you want to learn more about this trick, check out my last tutorial. I'll leave a link right in here. Then everything will get filtered into a bandpass filter. I know I abuse using bandpass filters, but man, they sound really good for psychedelic sound designs. And of course, I have to end things properly with a comp filter, and I've also showed this trick in my last tutorial, so yeah, link right in here. So now, with Pigments, we will have this. Wow, it just makes things even way more psychedelic, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Pigments5. And once more, Arturia did a great job on the update. I mean, by now, Pigments is more like a sound design suite than just a simple synthesizer. It can do virtual analog, wavetable, additive, and granular synthesis. And on top of that, it has a versatile sequencer that can drive external instruments and really good sounding effects that now can affect external audio. For me, this is a must-have in every producer's arsenal. And with this is the end of this tutorial. I really hope you've liked it. I really hope you've learned something new. See you next time.